All right, so as I said, I'm going to give you a quick presentation on mechatronics and cybersecurity. But first, who is Jim Burnham? So this is me in 60 seconds. I was born in LA. When I was 6 months old, we moved to Bogota, Colombia. My dad worked for an accounting firm that was Ernst & Young, Winnie Murray, Ernst & Ernst back then. When I was just turning 5, we moved to Brussels, Belgium. And so I got thrown into a French kindergarten, and all the Spanish I'd learned in Bogota kind of was befuddling. But then when I was just turning 12, we moved to Cleveland, Ohio. And then my dad had a choice to be able to go to work for a bank in London or a bank in New York or Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And he chose Bartlesville, Oklahoma. So I finished high school there and then went to college, Brigham Young University, earned an electronic engineering technology degree there. And after college, I worked at a little tiny phone company in Nevada, 6 people. Excuse me. I built hardware for them and wrote software code. And then I worked for Amdahl in Sunnyvale. And then for the last 20 plus years, I've worked for Xilinx in San Jose. And now I'm an instructor at SVCT Metro Ed. I'm teaching cybersecurity, and I'm going to be the future mechatronic instructor. I did tell them that I didn't really know that much about cybersecurity, but they hired me anyway. All right, so what is cybersecurity all about? I'm going to play a quick video here, and let's see if I can get this video to play. It gives you kind of a dynamic introduction to what we're up against when we're doing cybersecurity.
These guys are good. Let's get to work. A hot little startup with a great idea. Their target, a ProPass. Offices in 12 countries, 5,000 staff. You'd think they'd be secure, wouldn't you? Make some noise. A smoke screen. A decoy breach to hide what they're really after. Confidential information hidden in the depths of the system.
Still here?
The computer's crashed.
Join the club. See you Monday.
It's okay for some. Right now, the chances are someone, somewhere, is attacking you. And you don't even know it.
Okay, chaps. We're in.
I bet you're wondering how they got this far.
Give us a smile. Lovely.
She's in. Sensitive passwords and system details from a keystroke logger hidden under a desk for 6 months. You got it?
Easy.
These guys, they know it all. Except, a few weeks earlier, a ProPass were hit by a smaller breach. It made the board stop and think how vulnerable they were. So they brought in the experts. It's never just an IT issue. They carried out cybersecurity training from boardroom to basement, identifying what was critical to the business. Threat and intelligence monitoring. They planned a cyber incident response and brought in their own ethical hackers to test the systems and make honeypots to trap the attackers. They reviewed the whole business from New York to Tokyo and devised a game plan for any breach. Make some noise.
We're in.
It's a denial of service attack. Just monitoring the situation.
Have they got into any accounts?
Very clever. Someone else bangs on the window. So are you. Hide in the cellar.
They're onto us.
I'll try blocking them.
Is it working?
I don't know.
Well, I need to know, Gil. Is it working?
Lino, launch a worm.
These guys are good. They're really good.
They're blocking us.
Try again.
They're blocking us!
Try again.
Straight to me.
Gotcha. Good? Not good enough.
You're okay. Traffic's blocked.
You can win, but there's always a next time.
Who's next?
Kobashi Tech.
Criminals just get smarter. Who have we got for the smoke screen?
Take your pick.
A breach will happen. And when it does, will you be ready?
All right, so that's a very interesting look at what cybersecurity is about, and in fact, part of what we do in the class is we explore what are the hacking techniques that people use, so that in fact we can come up with counters and understand how to counter those excuse me, those attacks. So we do have a couple fundamental big blocks of instruction that we do in the class. We've got an introduction to cybersecurity. That's about 12 weeks worth of material that was spread over even a longer period of time. We also do an IT Essentials, and this is a Cisco Academy class, and if they actually do this work in this IT Essentials class, they would be ready for being able to take the CCNA networking certification from Cisco. We also are going to be teaching some coding, and so we've got a C++ class that we will be teaching, and this is also probably about a 12-week class that we've got. And when they get done with that class, they actually also should be able to, if they've mastered these skills, be able to take the CPA exam for this C++ and basically get a certificate for that as well. We're going to really dive into a lot of this, the cybersecurity issues. So social engineering, how to protect against it. We're going to set up Wi-Fi networks and understand why you should never log in anything important at Starbucks, and why your Gmail password should never be the same as your Facebook password, and all that kind of stuff. We do have access to NetLabs hosted at Cabrillo College, so we'll be able to log into the NetLabs there and be able to build some virtual machines and play with some virtual machines there. Excuse me, I've got a cold. And then, like I said before, we're going to learn Python programming and scripting. We're going to dive into Linux as well as Windows, but spend quite a bit of time learning Linux and Kali Linux and some other tools there. We've had an opportunity to play with the Cyber Patriots curriculum. They've got a number of classes, and then also some virtual images that we can play around with, and much more. So, like I said, virtual machines, that's a mainstay of what we're going to do. That way we can bring up different machines, so we can bring up Windows operating systems, Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8, Vista, XP, and be able to explore the vulnerabilities of all those different operating systems, as well as doing things with, say, Linux or Android or some of these other operating systems. And this just gives us an opportunity to be able to bring these up in a virtual environment, so that we don't actually have to have that real hardware, but we can actually play with those and do some things with those images. I'm all about having the students write, and so typically every day they'll have a writing assignment, 15 to 30 minutes. It'll either be a current event or pose some question like this. Edward Snowden, was he a hero, criminal, both? And really go into the ethics of cybersecurity, the ethics of of hacking, and making sure that you're on the right side of the law when you're actually going out on the networks and doing stuff. I'm all about guest speakers and having guest speakers show up, and so I do have professionals from the industry. They'll either show up live in the classroom or we'll have them Skype in. We've already had a number of them come in. These are getting pulled from my experts panel, as well as other contacts that I've got. And so this gives them some real world experience and meet with and be able to learn from experts in the field. So that's always a good thing. And like I said, I try and have it a weekly guest speaker. We're all about hands-on, and so I'm definitely making sure that we have a lot of hands-on projects. One of the targets for our C++ that we're learning is an Arduino board, and so with this Arduino board we can actually program it, we can make it sense the world, and get inputs and do some programming there and manage some process, and then go and control LEDs or little servo motors or other stuff like that. And so we'll have a couple of projects where we have them do some very detailed hands-on. We're also going to play around with Raspberry Pi and some other processes as well. We're also going to do some big project-based learning. We've got a number of cyber projects where they have to pick a particular project, like setting up a Wi-Fi network and how to secure the Wi-Fi network. Some teams will select brute forcing passwords and how that works and how to protect against it. Others will have, there's one team that's doing a project where they're doing kind of a man-in-the-middle attack with a keylogger and being able to capture keyboard information as somebody's typing stuff in. We've got another team that's actually looking at what you call a rat, which is basically a malicious piece of software code that you would try and inject on somebody's system when you sent them an email to say, hey, you have a secret admirer, click on hearts and puppies, click on this link, and understand how that kind of stuff works. And so we'll look at those kind of things. But another project we're doing is called The Box, and this is where we're going to have an Indiana Jones box of traps. And this is a box where you can't just open it up, you'll immediately set off the alarms and die, where you have to defeat motion sensors or magnetic sensors or other things like that, and then consistently solve problems as you get deeper and deeper, little puzzles as you get deeper and deeper in the box, and then potentially have an Ethernet port. It's like, all right, well, what do you do with an Ethernet port? Well, what could be behind that? It could be a web server. It could be just some machine, and so they'd plug into it and they'd do some port scans, and they'd try and figure out is it a website? Can they bring up a web page? Is it just port 80 on some machine? Can they actually talk to that machine and have it give them information about the machine? Things like that. And so it's a big project where they're going to build this box, and then we'll actually have this box available to have some competitions where people actually try and solve all our puzzles that we've created. But the interesting thing about the box is that not only will they get to build this cool project, but it will actually have a number of student deliverables. So for example, they'll create a box. We might have some mini boxes that they create. They'll have to create a user guide, how to set it up, how to run an event, how to solve all the steps in the box. They'll have source code that they'll have to document. We'll have some promotional presentation they'll have to create, and we'll have a case where they actually run an event where they have their box. And so there's lots of things that we're going to build up to with this particular project. All right, and then I have a whole section on passwords and how passwords are important, and why you may think that your banking password is the most important, but really it's your Gmail password, because if they hack your Gmail, then they probably can figure out the bank that you have, and they'll go to your bank and they can probably spoof your username, and then simply click on I forgot my password. And where do you think the password gets sent? Well, it gets sent to your email. So now they've got your banking information, and by the time you finally get back to into your email, you realize that not only have they sent terrible emails to people and used your system in horrible ways, but they also have emptied your bank account. All right, so that was a quick overview of cybersecurity, and so now I want to do a quick introduction to mechatronics. So mechatronics obviously is electrical engineering and mechanical engineering, and you mash those together, and what do you get? Well, obviously you get fire-breathing robots. And so we're definitely building this fire-breathing goat in our class. This was at the Maker Fair, and that's a place that I think we have an opportunity to go demonstrate some of our stuff. So when we do these project-based learning, we'll actually go build stuff. All right. So mechatronics, it's a class we're doing next year, and yes, we're totally building fire-breathing machines. And so it's definitely quite a bit of robotics, but it's also electronic and mechanical technology, a lot of electronic theory, and definitely computer control, because a lot of these systems are controlled by little single board computers like the Arduino, like a Raspberry Pi, like some of these other little embedded computers that would control things. So it's not just robotics, but it's a lot of mechanics and how systems fit together, how motors work, how you make things move with servos and with relays and with solenoids and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of hands-on, but a lot of theory. So definitely they'll be whether the students realize it or not, they'll be learning a lot of math, a lot of problem solving, a lot of other options like that. So like I said, definitely learning electronics. We'll have a whole section on introduction to electronic circuits and Ohm's law and digital and parallel circuits and serial circuits, things like that. We'll also do an accelerated version of the IT Essentials, so we'll understand the fundamentals of computer hardware. We'll also do C++, and just like the cybersecurity class, if they apply themselves, they'll be able to then go test for the CPA C++ certificate and be able to add that to their portfolio of things that they know. But like I said, that we'll be playing with the Arduino microcontroller, Raspberry Pi. We'll learn Python, Linux, command line. A lot of the systems these days are Linux-based systems. We'll probably learn a little bit about FPGAs, but then some deep dives into mechanical systems and servos and motors. And we'll probably not do the first robotics, but there's another club that we're going to start, which is the REC. And that's a little more economical club to do, but we'll be able to get some robots and be able to build robots and program those robots and compete with those robots. And we'll be doing much more. So super fun class, and that's the class that I plan on be teaching next year. Of course, I love Halloween, and so we just did a big haunted house. I usually do it in my haunted garage. We did a haunted house here at the school, and so some of the things that we actually build in class, obviously, if we're going to learn how to build some mechanical system that's using air to move things with pneumatic cylinders or something like that, then you might as well put a skeleton on the end of that when you make something jump or move. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. We've got a number of other technical classes, so don't overlook some of these other classes that we've got. Mobile apps and computer coding. This is where people learn about building web apps that would work on phones and be able to upload into a app store and things like that. We've got internet engineering. This really does a deep dive into networks and how to set those networks up and how to be a technician to be able to put networks into buildings and diagnose problems and things like that. We've got engineering for manufacturing. This is an awesome class, underrepresented, but we need a lot more people to actually get into this kind of technology. There are probably 600-700 little companies, little manufacturing companies that need machine operators to build stuff, cut little parts out of metal, know how to use the CNC machines and how to use lathes and those kinds of things. And so this is a super awesome class, and it'll actually tie really well into with the Mechatronics class, where Mechatronics may design something and say, all right, we need to have build this piece, it's all going to fit together, and we need to have somebody machine this specific piece. And so we'd actually work with in a team-based design, work with, say, the folks in the engineering for manufacturing, and have them build some of these parts for us. And so a lot of cross pollination there across those two classes. There's an animation class where students get to learn animation, be able to do flash video and develop a cool portfolio. And the pathways for this, obviously, every single company in the Valley has a marketing department with a creative arts director, and they all have Twitter accounts and YouTube accounts, and they're always trying to promote their company through those systems. And so having someone who's got graphic arts experience, that's a pathway into those kind of jobs. Anyway, that's a super quick overview. I'm certain you have some questions, but please put them together. Katie can collect them all up, and then I can answer them all and send them back to you guys later after I have a chance to review them. Anyway, thanks so much. Bye.